Welcome to the Education Innovators Podcast. I'm Eric Byron, and it is my privilege to host this show where I get to talk to folks from all over the world who are education thought leaders and innovators. We'll hear inspiring stories from educators, EdTech founders, AI experts, and others who are fearlessly innovating and delivering unique learning experiences. I'm glad you're here. Let's get started. I'm glad you're here. I really want to talk today about privacy versus personalization with AI chatbots. So there was this interesting discussion that I participated in an online forum. I'm really conflicted about the whole discussion because I can see both sides of this. So I want to talk about it. Um, on the one hand, I recognize, there's a real sensitivity around privacy of data, particularly where children are involved, and that, it's not only just about school policy, it's also about, legal compliance, right? And, the way students interact with these softwares, there's rules, and it seems that there's potential for these rules to be broken by the chatbots and the way they use the data. So what was interesting for me also was, so this was originally raised around assessment and using the chatbots to do assessments, and a question from a teacher about uploading their writing assignments basically to have them processed, and I'm concerned that even if you're stripping out the names, identification, information of the students, that students quite often put really personal information into the things that they write. And a bunch of people responded saying, oh, this is just cut and dry. You can't do it. The platforms use the information that you upload and the prompts, and they steal all that data, and then they do analysis on it and use it for whatever they want to use it for, either for training or other purposes, and they may sell it. And they just stated this as fact. This is how the platforms work, and you can never upload content unless you are willing to let the platforms steal it. So I did some research, and it doesn't seem it's nearly so cut and dry as that. That platforms like ChatGPT say that they don't use stuff that you upload either by prompt or by document, right, that you've uploaded for processing, that they just do that. They process them, and then they store the responses while your session is active, but once that session is over, then they purge it all. They don't keep it. They don't use it for their own purposes. Now, if you have an account, right, which means you can keep previous prompts that you've done, those sessions don't just expire and go away. They claim at least that they still don't use it. They store it for your purposes, but it's your data, and they don't collect it, gather it, use it for training purposes or anything. Which gets us to a question of trust. Just because they say they don't do it, do they do it anyway? And how would we know, if that's what they're doing? And, I think this is, it is problematic because most of these platforms have demonstrated that we can't really trust them with our data, because they will probably use it at some point or sell it. So, but let's flip this around, as I really want to talk about the other side of this, which is, maybe we want them to store information about us and to use that information to get to know us better. So imagine the AI chatbot that, uses machine learning in the same way that like Amazon or, Instagram, TikTok, all these other platforms, use machine learning to kind of get to know us, right? To understand our preferences, our likes. They customize what we see based on our behaviors on their platform. And so, my point here is that for a personalized AI tutor now, think about how well it could personalize your learning experience. So imagine a student, right? So they've been using the same chat bot for years now, a bunch of classes, and courses over an extended period of time. And So the chatbot has now learned to know, when you can be challenged, right? It can, feed you information faster, give you harder, problems to do. Or, on the other hand, it can sense your lack of confidence in something, and it can kind of slow down and ease you into it and give you extra time and help to get comfortable with a topic that for whatever reason is, just doesn't click with you. So the other piece of that, and this is an interesting area, probably a whole nother talk I could do on this one, is on the possibility that these systems get to know your emotional state as well. So they've observed you enough, maybe even through camera, right, that they can recognize facial expressions, certainly your word choices and language that you use, but the ability then to adjust to your mood or alert parents or teachers, if there's a pattern, a trend of concern here, possible destructive behavior kind of thing. Now, all right, we've gotten into some areas where all the alarms are going off right around privacy, and of course then you've also got the student's reaction to this too. How do you trust a system that if I say the wrong thing, you're going to rat me out to my parents or my teachers, and raise a red flag that there's something wrong. So there's a whole bunch of problems with that, but there's also potential great benefit in a system getting to know us and being able to personalize the learning for us. So, I think that we have to find a way to compromise here. I don't want to kill all of the potential benefit of personalization just based on, data protection outweighs, all other considerations. That doesn't make sense to me either, that the privacy issue should trump everything. Okay. So, and I think it's possible. I think if we make this a priority and we say those benefits are really important, I think we can force these companies to do this properly, ethically, to isolate the data, to not sell your data, to not use it in some malicious way, but to do it with the benefit that's intended here with collecting it so that we can actually help you learn more effectively. So anyway, this is problematic with the current players in the market, right? They have already demonstrated they are very willing to, prioritize profits, and, they'll sell our data if they can, right? So with that in mind, I think that part of what has to happen here is we need to try to move the development of these highly advanced AI systems away from these, mega for-profit companies. So I don't know how to do that exactly. I'm just throwing that out there. This is my opinion, and I'll leave you with that thought because I don't have all the answers. All right. Please join in the discussion here by subscribing to the podcast and sharing. Leave a comment or like the episode so I know you're paying attention here and you enjoyed it, found it stimulating. I hope that it generates thoughts and ideas. So we need to help by being active in this discussion, right? This isn't going to fix itself, this problem of privacy versus personalization. It doesn't just go away. We have to take action. Okay, we have to get involved in pressing these issues and how these things are being developed and how they're being used. And so have a voice, get involved. I'm Eric Byron. Thanks for listening to the Education Innovators Podcast. For all those education innovators out there, thanks for doing what you do. You are making a difference.